I'm here to talk to you today about how to wear a hat and not feel like a fool. In my own business, Luminous Lady Vintage on Etsy, I've just discovered that a lot of people, except for the collectors who really know their stuff about vintage hats and all the ins and outs of style and how to wear them and so on and so forth, that a lot of younger women, and women my age too, feel a little awkward wearing hats. We just don't have the role models for doing it anymore, except for the occasional hat that shows up in Vogue or Elle magazine. And it's just kind of a lost art. I mean, I remember from my grandmother's and my mother's day, them dressing up beautifully when they went out and totally accessorizing with beautiful hats, brocade, velvet, silk sheaths, big tulle ball gowns. I mean, it was another time, but they really knew how to wear those hats. And so I thought, to help out people who were wanting to wear hats but were feeling a little bit awkward about it, that I would do a few videos on how to wear a hat today. I'm an artist and I'm going to an art opening tonight, and so I decided to dress vintage, a little bit vintage, with my Lily Ann coat, my big lucite bracelet, big glitzy rhinestone brooch. And I think this is so fun for anybody, really. And I do it in my daily life too, not just openings or special events. It just gives a little bit of added zip to the day, and it's a good conversation piece, It opens many doors for me. So tonight, I'd like to talk to you about these couple of hats. This is a real beauty, sculptural beauty from the 1940s called a slouch. There's kind of a dreamy nostalgia, to wearing a hat. And this particular hat is an olive green fur felt from the 1940s called a slouch. Has a beautiful velvet ribbon on the front and velvet hat band. You can see the crown is at an extreme angle, which is really fun and looks great from different angles. And it's not a designer hat. It doesn't have a label. It might have been taken out. I wouldn't be surprised because it is so special. And these are kind of rare these days. And to wear a hat like this, my favorite style for this particular one is to wear it kind of at an angle, down over my eye, with a velvet ribbon down over my eye. As you can see, it looks different from every angle. Kind of fabulous. Hats can give you can help you choose what kind of personality or what kind of image you want to project. In that regards, they're really a great tool, a great fashion tool. And since we've become so extremely underdressed and casual these days, I think wearing a hat can really up the ante quite a bit and maybe protect us from being fashion casualties. So I'm going to an art exhibit tonight, and so I have on my Lily Ann coat and my big lucite bracelet, my big rhinestone brooch, a little bit of brocaded satin or embroidered satin, and then my hat. And it just it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm a little bit in disguise. And I wanted to give you tonight another option. This hat, again, is an olive green, and it's a little bit fuzzier fur felt finish. And it comes from the late 40s, early 50s. It's a style that I like very much. It's often worn like a toque on top of the head, with a little bit of an angle to the side. It looks really nice with this 50s to 60s coat, and both in color and in style. And for an evening event like tonight, I probably might choose to wear something like this because it has a little bit, it's not quite as outdoorsy as the slouch. Now, I think that wearing accessories is just, vintage accessories, is a way to really allow our femininity that's been repressed over the years to blossom, to make ourselves maybe more whole again. Being a woman that's 60 years old, I remember all these things, but I also remember had a taste of what we lost through the women's movement and so forth. We were empowered as women, but we tended to do a lot of that, especially in the beginning, by taking on the appearance of men and dressing more casually, dressing in pants and more structured clothing, so forth, and then that finally evolved in dressing very casually, blue jeans, t-shirts, and so on and so forth, and running suits and so forth. So I think, dressing up a little bit and re-exploring these really finely made vintage clothes, really fabulous hats, and, these pieces of costume jewelry that really are like little art pieces, is a way to really explore that world again, not in a sentimental way, but in a new modern way, and preserve our heritage as women.